Hello, welcome to episode 210 in the Datapack tutorial series, version 1.2.1.4. We're going to make a utility crystal, and I've marked it as an experiment because I am not happy with it yet. But we're using a few different things that we've learned along the way. So here's my utility, well, I've got a utility gem. Okay, but we can shift and right click and we can switch the mode. We've got crafting, ender chest or furnace. Let's do crafting and then we can throw one on the floor. Poink, and it turns into a crafting table. You can probably guess what the others are going to do now. Let's put it onto ender chest mode. And we get an ender chest. And furnace mode does a furnace. Okay, now we've got a block list of things it's allowed to replace. It's allowed to replace all air. And I put it's allowed to replace short grass as well. So if we put one on there, that'll work. But I haven't said it's allowed to replace tall grass. So it's not going to work on there. Okay. Let's put our grass back. I don't know why. Now, what I don't like about it is we've effectively duped an ender chest. And later on, we'll think of some ways that maybe we could fix this. Or maybe it could be homework for you. Got any suggestions? How do we get rid of the chest or the crafting table that we've placed? Or maybe we make the gem so expensive that it's not worth it? Anyway, what we'll do is we'll get on and we'll build it up to the point we're at now. And if you've got any ideas, you can pop them in the comments and let me know. And maybe I'll have a go at building them. But anyway, let's get on and build it now. I don't need to do anything because I believe I have emptied the data pack already. So if I just do a reload, we should, yep, completely empty. Nothing's working now. Okay, so let's get rid of those gems. They're old ones. And let's make some new ones. Right. I'm just going to move some stuff on my little hotbar or sidebar or whatever bar it's called. There we go. Organize my stuff. Here we go. So here we are, we've got an advancement for when we right click it, we've got a give function, we've got some more functions, we've got the load and the tick, we're using both, a couple of predicates, and we've got a tag list of things it can replace. I think, well, let's get some of these predicates and things out of the way so they're all done. Let's do is on ground, because these are always nice and quick. So let's pop over to misode, predicate, well, let's clear that one up. And let's do entity properties, entity this, predicate flags, is on ground true, and we'll copy that. So we're done with that one. That's nice and quick. Let's put that into is on ground. Now we can check when the item is on the ground. Now let's do is sneaking. Let's reset and do it from the beginning. We could have just changed that one, but let's reset anyway. Entity properties, entity this, predicate. So we've started exactly the same way. And we're also going to look for a flag, and this time we'll go for is sneaking. So we could have just changed the flags around, but why not? And let's put that in there. Now we can check if an entity is sneaking. Let's get rid of that. And let's do our can replace list. So what blocks can it replace? So we'll need to open and close some curlies. And let's get some values. Well, first thing, I definitely wanted to be able to replace air. But I wanted to replace air, cave air, and void air. Now, Minecraft has that tag. So let's say we're using a tag list, Minecraft air. So that's going to be all of those airs. And then I'm just doing short grass as well. Let's change it this time. Let's change it just to Minecraft tall grass. Anyway, do something a bit different. There we go. So now if I throw it down and it lands in air or tall grass, it can place itself down. Okay, so they're out the way. Load would make sense next. Let's go to load. Right, player's mode. Now I'm storing the mode on the player. So which are they in furnace, ender chest, or crafting table mode? The reason I did that is because if they switch gems around, they use a different gem or they change from one gem to another, I want it to be the last thing they were on. And at the moment we're destroying the gems anyway. But that does mean we need a way to transfer the score from the player to the gem when they throw it. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Anyway, let's do a scoreboard objectives add, we'll just call it gem mode. That'll do. Gem mode dummy. And we'll have a default player as well. So we'll have a setting which will store how many different modes there are. So let's say players set. Now I'm just going to call this fake player default. You could call them gem mode count or something. I'm just going to call them default, and I'm going to set that to 3 because we've got 3: crafting table, furnace, ender chest. We're going to have a tickless cooldown just to stop them spamming it when they shift and switch mode. You don't want it to just like spam through about 3 or 4 different modes in one go, so we'll put a little tickless cooldown in as well. Scoreboard, objectives, add cooldown, dummy, and scoreboard. It's a nice start when you can't spell words like scoreboard. Set, we'll call this person default as well. Cooldown 10, that's enough. And mode data, and this is going to be a list of strings. So if we have a score and we're in gem mode 0, we don't want to say gem mode 0. We want to say gem mode crafting or something. So let's do data modify storage. What we can do is we can use our score as an index. Let's say ID data. Let's call it gem mode as well. And we'll set the value. We'll have 3 values. 1, 2, 3. 3 values because we've got 3 modes up here. And inside there we'll have ID. You can have crafting. And we'll have another ID. You can have ender chest. And mode 3, or according to the index, this would be mode 2, because remember indices start at 0. This one would be what we want, furnace. Okay, let's save that. Let's crack on. Let's do a give. I am going to use the line splitter, which is a space and a slash, because I think it makes the command so much easier to read. So let's copy those. I am going to give an emerald. Well, that would be the name, wouldn't it? Give at S an emerald. Open and close. That's where I'm going to put all the information, but I'm going to use line splitters. So split their line, split the line. And I like that to be there. Okay. What do we want? Well, I want a name. So Minecraft item name equals a couple of apostrophes, some curly brackets, and we'll have some text, and we'll just call you utility gem. And there's going to be another line afterwards, so don't forget the comma. Let's go down, put under the line splitter, and here we'll have Minecraft. I need custom data equals, let's call it utility true, and we're going to have another line, so don't forget the comma. And let's give it an enchantment glint. I like the enchantment glint. Enchantment glint override equals true. We're going to have another line, so comma. And we need to be able to detect right click, so we'll add the consumable component. Now, Sergey pointed out to me, you don't actually need the food component for this. So we're not going to add the food component. We're going to test it without. Consumable equals, we're just going to say how many consume seconds. Well, we're going to set it high. There we go. And this is the last one we're adding, so we no comma on the end of this one. Okay, let's save that. Save. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Let's do a function give data get entity myself selected item. Got the name, we've got the glint override, we've got the custom data, consumable. Okay, looks good. If I right click, that's not right clicking. There's F3D. If I right click, alright, if I try and right click with a block, it doesn't go up and down, so nothing's happening there. But this just has the consumable component. So now if I held that for 1,000,000 ticks, I'm assuming I might actually gobble it up and eat it, but who's crazy enough to do that? And you could always set it to 9,000,000 ticks. Right. Next, I think let's do the mode cycling. So we need an advancement to check when we're right clicking it. So let's Let's go back here, advancement. Let's pop over to misode. Let's clean that up. Let's go to advancement. Criteria. So I'm right clicking the gem, so I'll call it right click gem because that makes sense. Let's add that. What's trigger? Triggering it would be, I'm trying to use the item. Now, if you wanted to check after you've eaten it, you would use consume item. I want to check as soon as I start to eat it, so that's going to be use item. And then conditions. I'm not going to bother checking the player. I am just going to go straight to the item predicates, and I'm going to check the item's custom data. And I will check for utility, we called it, didn't we? And we had it set to true, so that's a Boolean. And we had it set to true. Okay, this can get a bit confusing on the left here, but you can see on the right. Right-click gem, am I using an item? The item I am using must have the custom data utility true. If all of that is fine, we will run the function blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's grab that. Let's take it back and let's pop it in there. Now, as usual, I have named my advancement the same as I've named, if I've only got one criteria, the same as I've named my criteria, and I've named the function it's going to call the same as well. So we have advancement right-click gem, the criteria is right-click gem, and it is going to run the function right-click gem, like so. Save. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is we'll have a little test of that. So let's go to right-click gem, and let's revoke that advancement. Otherwise, we'll never be able to right-click it again. Advancement. Revoke myself. Only ID. ID because that's my namespace. Right-click gem. And let's just do say hi. Save. Let's go back. Let's do the reload. Let's right-click it. Ooh. See, that's why we're going to have a cooldown as well. Look at that. 4 times. That's quite a quick click as well. 1, 2. But you have to be so gentle with it if you just want 1. See there, I would have cycled through 2 modes. We don't want that. So we'll get a cooldown going on this as well. Okay, let's go back. Let's continue. Exit if the player is not sneaking. Okay, yep. I only want it to work if the player is sneaking, so they don't change mode sort of by mistake. So let's just do execute. Unless predicate is sneaking, run, return, fail. And that is basically just going to exit this function. We're not going to run anything beneath. We're just leaving. We're going. You're not sneaking. I'm not staying around. Let's do it now. Say hi. Well, we're going to say eh. Reload. Now, right click. Nothing happens. Shift right click. Now we get it. Okay. Let's add the tickless cooldown. We'll get the current game time. Execute. Store result. Oh, dear me. Store result as a score onto, let's just call them fake player. I'm just going to call them fake player. That'll do. Cooldown. Run time. Query the game time. If the player's stored cooldown is greater than the current game time, then exit. Okay. Execute if score at S cooldown is greater than fake players cooldown, then run return fail. We're just doing the same as we did up for the sneaking. We're just going to leave the function and not run anything beneath. But if it isn't higher, then we will modify the player's cooldown. We will scoreboard players operation at S cooldown equals fake player cooldown. So we set it to the same as the fake player, and now I'm going to add on that default cooldown we did in the load function here. We're going to add that on as well. So that would be another operation. So another scoreboard players operation at S cooldown equals itself plus, I always think they should be nicer the other way around, sort of like equals itself plus, but it's not, it's this way around. Default cooldown. So plus equals default cooldown. Done. That should be the tickler's cooldown. Oh, we need to put something in there to see it's working. Let's say sound like I just stubbed my toe. Now if we shift and click and hold it down, there we go. Much nicer. Okay, we're not going to be spamming that by accident now. Let's increment the player's mode. Sorry, just add one, really, isn't it? Just scoreboard, players, add, at S, cooldown 1. But we only have 3 modes, and that's just going to keep adding 1. So obviously, when it gets to 3, so we've got mode 0, 1, and 2. So when this gets to 3, nothing's going to happen, and then it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need to check that. So execute if score at S gem mode. Well, I'm glad I noticed that, because look, we're incrementing the cooldown. That's a bit silly. We want to increment the gem mode. And then we'll check if their mode equals default gem mode. We will run scoreboard pest scoreboard players set at S gem mode to 0. Save that. Let's give it a test. Reload. Oh, so we better put that score on the sidebar. Scoreboard objective set display sidebar gem mode. I have 1 at the moment. That's left over from when I was testing before. But if you do this now, you'll probably find you have 0. Or you'll probably find it doesn't even show your name because you'll have null. You won't have a score. But when you click it, you'll get a score. So now we're on 2. We should go back to 0. Yeah. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So now we've got a number we can use to check. And we're also going to be using that to get the string from here. So we would have 0, crafting, 1, ender chest, 2, furnace. Cool. Okay. Save the player's mode to storage. Now we want to pass it into a macro. So let's do execute store result into storage, into ID. It's just temporary data, so I'll just call it temp. And I'll put data as well. Dot mode. And as an integer, times it by 1. Run scoreboard players get from me my gem mode. Let's save that. Go back, reload. Let's change it. My gem mode is 0. Let's do a data get from storage ID temp. We have data mode 0. Okay, we can also do ID temp data. We get mode 0, and you can probably guess if I do data dot mode, I get just 0. Okay, let's change it once more. 1. Okay, now let's do that again. And I've got the 1. Cool, that's in storage. Let's pass that over to display the current mode. So we will do a function, display mode with storage, ID temp, data. Okay, and that means inside data function we have access to mode. And we're going to use that. So let's save that and let's get rid of some of this stuff we don't need. And let's go to display mode. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple little macro test, and we'll just say mode. Reload. Now, as I change gem mode 2, infernal device 2, gem mode 0. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting the number going through to the function nicely. Let's comment that out. We don't need it. Let's do the command without using a macro first. I always find it easier to do it without using a macro first, and then macroify it later. So I'm going to use the action bar. Title for S, action bar. And we want 2 entries. We'll have 1 entry, 2 entries. The first one is just going to be some text. It's just going to say text mode. There you go, that'll do. And the second one we want to get from storage. So we'll need to say you are using storage. And we're going to say what data we want. So we'll say storage. And you're going to be looking in ID data. Let's just double check in our load function. ID data. Yes, here we go. ID data. That's the storage we're looking in. And the MBT is going to be gem mode. And then we'll need an index. And then we'll need dot ID. Okay. Let's go back. So we're going to be looking in gem mode. And then we need an index. Let's just put 0. And then we need... Oh, hang on. This is the wrong way round. This should say NBT. And then this should say gem mode. And then we need an index. I've ruined it completely. Look what I've done. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me start this little bit afresh. 1, 2, comma, 1, 2. First one. Storage from ID data. Second one. NBT from gem mode. And index dot ID. There we go. I made a real mess of that. So we're going to look into ID data. We're going to go to gem mode 0 and we're going to get its ID. If we take, let's just take ID off first so you can see what's happening. Let's go reload. Gem mode ID crafting. Now it's saying crafting every time. We expect that because we've hard coded 0 as the index. So now we add the ID on there as well. So we've gone from getting that. So that's gem mode index 0. And then we've got dot ID. So we're going to getting just the bit that says crafting. Okay, so let's go. Let's make sure we've saved that. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Mode crafting, mode crafting, mode crafting. Nice. Now let's get our little macro. We might as well cut it out because we're not going to use it anyway. And replace our index. There we go. And let's just say you are using data. And let's get rid of that. Save. Reload. Okay. Furnace mode. Crafting mode, ender chest mode, does it match? So I've got 0, it says crafting. I've got 1, it says ender chest. I've got 2, it says furnace. That is the order we saved them in. So that's cool. Okay, so we can change mode. Pretty useless because we can't do anything with it. So let's check what we want. The player throws the item. Now when they first throw it, we're going to have to copy my gem mode onto the item. We also want to take count of if we throw something else. We want to stop processing other things. Okay, I think we'll have all of those written as notes, but we need a tick function. So let's execute as any entity whose type equals Minecraft item, whose tag equals not processed. That means we can give it a tag and this function is going to stop looking at it. We will run the function process item. I think that's all we need. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's go to process item. We could just say hi. And probably what we're going to find now is if we throw something, wah, tall grass is saying hi. Short grass is saying hi. Okay, so what we want to do is exclude some of these things. So first, let's exit if it's not a utility gem. Execute unless items entity at S, and you could see when I was throwing those items, it was the item that was saying hi, so that means add S is that item. So I'm doing add S to check the contents of the item. It could be any item, but it must have the custom data tilde not equals, and it must have the custom data utility true. If it doesn't have that, we're going to run return. So we're going to leave the function, but before we leave the function, we will just run a quick command. We will tag at S, and we will add processed. Okay, so if the item we throw does not have that custom data, so that's going to be everything but our gem, we're going to tag it with processed, and then the tick function is never going to get past here. It's never going to run that function for it again. Okay, say ho hoi, reload. So let's throw some grass. It's a 420 party. Let's throw some grass. There we go. Nope, nothing's happening. Let's throw our item. Hoi hoi hoi. Yeah, okay, that's good. Right. Copy the player's mode score. So if the first tick that comes out of me, I'm going to be the closest player, aren't I? So we'll execute unless unless score at S. Remember, this is still the item we've thrown. Gem mode equals at S gem mode. So if it already has a score, we're not going to do anything. This is an advantage because after throwing it, I might change my own mode, or maybe I throw it past another player, so it grabs my mode and then grabs their mode. So we're going to check. If you haven't got a score, then grab the game, then grab the gem mode. If you have got a score, don't do anything. Scoreboard players, operation at S gem mode equals at P. Since it's just coming out of my chest, I've got to be the closest player. Gem mode. That will give it a score. In fact, we probably can check that because we're tracking gem mode. So if I throw this now, there we go. There's its UUID of the item, and it's got a gem mode of 2, same as me. Let's change our mode to crafting, throw another item, gem mode of 0. Cool. Exit if the gem is not on the floor. We want it to land on the floor before we create the item. So now only gems with utility have got this far. So what we're going to do is we're not going to tag it. We're just going to keep ticking it. Because all we have to do is wait for it to fall to the floor. Yeah, I suppose someone could float it in a bubble column and it would keep running this function at it all the time. Hopefully people don't do that. So let's do an execute unless predicate is on ground, run, return, fail. So as we're throwing it, as we're throwing it, we're just going to keep stopping here. It's going to keep going around. We're not tagging it with process, so it's going to keep going around. It's going to hit the floor, and then it's going to move on to say KJGH for some reason. So now, when we throw it, nothing until it lands on the floor. And now it's on the floor, it starts spamming it. Okay. But we're going to remove the gem anyway. Let's do that. So kill add S. Now, obviously, it's not going to spam it because we're going to kill the gem. Let me just get a dupe. There we go. So we throw one, and it goes. Great. Now we just need to execute at the gem itself. So we'll place a block. We can do that. The gem has a score. This is why I wanted the score on the gem rather than the player, because imagine if I threw my gem near another player and I said get the score from the nearest player. Well, that's not going to work. So we're going to we now have the score on the gem, which we can check. add S, gem mode matches 0. If it does, then at S as well, because we've not used at before, so this is just, now we are actually running at the item as well. Run set block, those coordinates. Minecraft, what was the first one? Crafting table, wasn't it? Well, Minecraft crafting table. Okay, let's just copy that. Copy, paste another, and we'll change you to A1. We'll change you to A2. You are now an ender chest, and you are now a furnace. So you can see we can really easily add more things to this. All we'd have to do is go to the load function and add some more IDs. Let's do one. Let's do one while we're here. So we're going to add one. So default gem mode would now be 4 because we're adding one. Let's add another ID. ID will be... in fact, what we could do is we could even get the ID from here to decide which block to use as well. We're not doing that for this one. We're keeping it a little bit simpler. What should we have? Blast furnace. Blast furnace. Just because I'd just seen it a minute ago and it's the first one that popped into my head. Okay, so we've got ID of 4. We've got the name for it set up. Let's go to right-click gem. Shouldn't have to do anything in here because we're checking the gem mode and we set that in load. So that should be all right. Well, let's go to process item. I think we're just going to need to put in here a copy, a paste. If you're number 3, and instead you're going to be a blast furnace. Okay, let's go back. Reload. Crafting, ender chest, furnace, blast furnace. Crafting, ender chest, blast furnace. Check one down. Oh, I need a blast furnace. There it is. Oh, we left in the... exit if the block is not on the valid list. Okay, we better do that as well, because at the moment we can replace everything. Okay. So what we're going to do is use our list we made earlier, our can replace list, and we'll say execute. We need the at S, unless block at those coordinates is on my can replace list, then run return. Do you know, this time I am going to tag it. Run tag at S add processed. Okay, I'm going to tag it this time. So if you leave it lying in a block it's not allowed to be in, it's going to go, no, you'll have to pick me back up and throw me again. Okay, let's do a little check. Reload. I cannot remember. Let's throw one over there. Clink. I cannot remember which one of these we said you can replace. Well, we can find out. Okay, so that's not going to do anything now. But we should be able to replace this one. Ooh, that's quite fun. Okay, what you could do, if you wanted, we're waffling now, we're basically finished, but what you could do is you could remove that and run return fail instead. Save. So, was it short grass? Let's do a reload. Okay, we can't replace short grass, but what I could do is I could come along and break the short grass. Whee! And now there's no short grass there. It's still processing the item because we haven't tagged it. Up to you if you want to do that. I'm going to put that back on though. Like that. Okay. So we've pretty much got it working. And now we are faced with the problem I mentioned before, which is I am basically duping all of these items. No, you must be in line. There you go. Thank you. Because obviously I can mine these now. I've lost the gem, but maybe we want a utility gem that we get back. I can't think of a good way to now break these. I mean, I could put a marker inside there as well. So when we are placing the item here, this set block, we could also place a marker. And then we could have a ticking function, which is basically saying, hey, if you see an ender chest item or a crafting table item or a blast furnace item near this marker, destroy it and then destroy the marker. But then we've got the problem, if I break that myself, we're also ticking at the marker saying, if none of those things are there, then destroy the marker. So we're adding a lot of extra stuff there. So let me know what you think. What, in your opinion, would be a good way to get rid of the blocks? Or do we just not worry about it? Because I say, you could make this utility gem have a cost. I mean, what's the most expensive thing on that list was, I would say, the ender chest. 8 bits of obsidian, blaze powder, and an ender eye. You could just make the utility gem cost more than that. And it's not worth it then. You could make it cost, well, a nether star would be crazy. Who's going to use it? But if you made it sort of like, oh, it's easier to craft an ender chest than it is to craft a utility gem, that would fix the problem. But then you've got, but I just want to throw a crafting table down, and that's just 4 bits of wood. I'm not sure. I couldn't really decide, so I left it there and thought, I'll set it as homework for you. Can you come up with a good way of getting rid of the items that we've placed down, or should we even bother? Anyway, as a fun little thing, we did a few things. We've got advancements, we've got score checking, score transferring, we've got tickless cooldown, we've got all sorts of stuff there. Anyway, have a great day. I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.